She was 36 years old, and she had built an empire from nothing but spreadsheets and sleepless nights. Her name was Marlo Reed, and her corner office sat on the 38th floor of a glass tower in downtown Chicago, where the winter light cut through the windows like sharpened silver. Everything in her world existed in perfect order because she demanded it. But when she went home to her pristine condo, the silence was unbearable. No music, no voice, no warmth. Just the hum of the refrigerator and the ticking of a clock. She had colleagues, not friends. The walls she had built at work had followed her home. But there was one place that still felt like breathing. The bookstore on Armitage Avenue was tucked between a French bakery and a vintage record shop with a hand-painted sign that read Finch and Fable. Inside, it smelled like aged paper and sandalwood and the chai that Mira brewed behind the counter. Marlo wandered to her favorite chair, a deep burgundy velvet armchair, and sat down. And that was when she noticed her. A small girl, no older than 6, sat cross-legged on the rug nearby. Dark curls pulled into uneven braids, holding a picture book completely upside down. She looked up and stared at Marlo with something closer to recognition than shyness. "You look like someone who needs a better story," the girl said. Marlo's breath caught. "Maybe I do," she whispered. The girl smiled wide and certain. Thursday became the only day Marlo did not dread. The girl's name was June. She asked Marlo to make up stories about a queen who wore sneakers and fought monsters with questions instead of swords. Marlo felt something crack open in her chest, like sunlight slipping through heavy curtains. "Where is your mom?" Marlo asked one evening. June's expression shifted just slightly. "She's not here anymore. She went away when I was really little. My dad says she loved me before she left." "That is enough." "Your dad sounds wise," Marlo said. "He works too much." June shrugged. "But he makes really good waffles." June reached out and rested her small hand on Marlo's. 5 tiny fingers curled over her knuckles. Marlo did not pull away. The coffee was cold again. Marlo stared at the untouched cup on her desk. Her mornings had become a blur of video conferences and emails that multiplied faster than she could delete. "You need help," her colleague Priya said. "You have worn the same blazer 3 days in a row. You are not fine." By Friday, the recruitment agency sent over a shortlist. One name caught her eye. Ellis Vance, 33. Former chief of staff at a boutique architecture firm. The resume read like the man had nothing to prove and everything to offer. Monday morning, he walked in. Tall, with warm brown skin and close-cropped dark hair. He wore a fitted charcoal sweater over a white-collared shirt, no tie. He simply stood in the doorway and waited. Marlo Reed. His voice was low, steady, with a warmth that did not try to perform. She ended her call and gestured to the chair. "Sit." He did without rushing, without that nervous throat-clearing thing most candidates did. "Your resume says you left Atwood Design after 4 years. Why?" "I outgrew the role. Not the work. The environment. I wanted something that demanded more of me." Most people flinched under her gaze. Ellis did not. "I do not need someone who fetches coffee," she said. "I need someone who anticipates what I have not thought of yet." "I know." 2 words. Just certainty. "You start Wednesday." By the end of his first week, Marlo realized Ellis dissolved expectations. He arrived before her every morning. He placed her coffee on the left side of the desk because he noticed she always reached with her left hand first. He never asked unnecessary questions. He observed, he adapted, He moved through her space like someone fluent in a language she had not realized she was speaking. Thursday afternoon, they were reviewing a client proposal side by side. Their fingers brushed the screen at the same time. Neither moved. She could smell his cologne vetiver and something faintly citrus. Ellis pulled back first, slowly, without apology. He simply continued speaking as if nothing had happened. But Marlowe's chest told a different story. 3 weeks in, and her world had shifted. Her mornings had a rhythm that did not feel suffocating. Her inbox no longer spiraled into chaos. She walked into her office each day and found everything already breathing. "Morning," he said without looking up. "I moved your 10 o'clock to 1. Marlowe poured herself coffee. "Exactly right. Dark roast, no sugar, a splash of oat milk." She had not told him that. He had just noticed. "How do you do that?" she asked. "Know what I need before I say it." A faint smile crossed his lips. "I pay attention." Most people do not. It is not a skill. It is a choice. The words landed quietly, but they pressed deep. It was nearly 9 when Marlowe realized she was not alone. She sat at the conference table, surrounded by contracts, the city glittering beyond the glass. Ellis appeared in the doorway holding 2 paper bags. Thai food. Green curry, no shrimp brown rice. "How did you? You ordered it twice last week from the place on Halstead." I remembered. "Can I ask you something personal?" she said. "Why did you leave your last firm?" "The real reason." He exhaled slowly. "My daughter. She was 3 when I started at Atwood. I was pulling 14-hour days. One night I came home and she was already asleep. She had drawn a picture of a stick figure man behind a big desk. She wrote Daddy's office underneath. She thought I lived there." Marlowe's chest tightened. "How old is she now?" 6. A gentle warmth crossed his face. "She is the most stubborn, curious, brilliant person I have ever met. She corrects my pronunciation. She tells me my waffles need more vanilla. She sleeps with a nightlight because she says the dark is only scary if you cannot find your book." Marlowe's breath stalled. A nightlight. Books. Curiosity too sharp for her age. The image of June on the bookstore rug flashed through her mind. No? That is impossible. Coincidence? Chicago was full of bright, bookish children. "She sounds incredible," Marlowe said. "She is." Ellis's voice softened. "She is the reason I need a job that respects my time." Their eyes met across the table. Marlowe noticed the way his jaw relaxed when he talked about his daughter. "You are a good father," she said. "I try to be." A pause. "She deserves someone who stays." The sentence landed like a stone in still water. He was revealing the architecture of who he was. A man built around the decision to remain, to show up, to be constant. The call came at 8 on a Saturday morning. The Hastings signing got moved to Monday, and his laptop had crashed. She stood outside a brick walk up in Logan Square 20 minutes later. The door opened. It was not Ellis. It was June. "Marlowe," she shrieked, launching forward and wrapping her small arms around Marlowe's waist. Marlowe froze. The world tilted. Footsteps came from inside. Ellis appeared behind his daughter wearing a white t-shirt and gray joggers, a dish towel over his shoulder. His eyes moved between them. "You two know each other?" he asked. "This is the lady from the bookstore, Daddy. The one who tells the best stories." Ellis stared at Marlowe. "You are the one she has been talking about." the woman who made up the queen in the glass tower. And she is the girl who told me I needed a better story. A sacred silence settled. Come inside. June tugged her hand. Daddy made waffles with extra vanilla. Marlowe looked at Ellis. He stepped aside and held the door wider. Please, he said. Come in. The apartment was small but alive. Crayon drawings on the refrigerator books stacked everywhere. The entire space smelled like butter and cinnamon and home. I did not know, Marlowe said softly. Neither did I, Ellis replied. But maybe that's the point. June grinned. See, Daddy? I told you she would come. Marlowe felt the sting behind her eyes. She had built her entire life on control. But this could not have been planned. And maybe that was exactly why it mattered. It started with Sunday mornings. By the fourth Sunday, no one pretended it was about work anymore. Marlowe knew which mug was June's, the one with the cartoon fox. She knew Ellis played acoustic playlists while he cooked. It felt like stepping into a life she had not known she was missing. Marlowe sat on the living room floor with June, helping her color a map of an imaginary kingdom. This is where the book dragons live, and this river is made of hot chocolate, obviously. Marlowe laughed, not her polished professional laugh, but something unguarded. From the kitchen, Ellis watched. She wore a soft olive sweater and jeans. No heels, no armor. Just her. And his daughter was glowing beside her. Something inside him gave way. After breakfast, June retreated to her room, leaving them alone. Marlowe stood at the sink, rinsing dishes. Ellis came up beside her to dry. Their arms brushed, and neither moved away. She adores you, he said. The feeling is mutual. Her hands stilled under the water. She is not the only one. Marlowe turned her head. He was right there, inches away. She could see the flecks of amber in his irises. Her pulse climbed. Ellis, she whispered. I know, he said. I feel it too. His hand came up slowly and brushed a strand of hair behind her ear. His fingertips grazed her jaw feather-light. She closed her eyes just for a moment. I do not do this, she said. I do not know how to do this. You do not have to know, he replied. You just have to stay. The word stay landed inside her like a stone in deep water. June's voice rang from the hallway. Can we go to the park? And the moment dissolved like sugar in warm tea. Not gone, not forgotten, just absorbed. They spent the afternoon in Humboldt Park. June, running ahead, leaves crunching under her sneakers. Ellis and Marlowe walked side by side close enough that their knuckles brushed. Neither pulled away. As the sun dipped, June ran back and grabbed both their hands, swinging between them like a bridge. Marlowe realized she was not just falling for Ellis. She was falling into a life. The evening was unremarkable in all the ways that mattered most. The three of them on Ellis's worn leather sofa, a bowl of popcorn between them. Rain tapped softly against the windows. June's head drifted from the back of the couch to Marlowe's shoulder, then slowly down to her lap. Marlowe looked down at the sleeping girl and felt something crack inside her chest. Like a frozen lake finally giving way to spring. She brushed a curl away from June's forehead. The gesture was so natural it startled her. She is out, Marlowe whispered. Ellis was watching them. Not the screen, not the rain. Them. She does not do that with anyone, he said. Fall asleep like that. She is always guarded. Even with me sometimes. Marlowe swallowed. She feels safe. I know. His gaze held hers. That is what scares me. She understood exactly what he meant. Fear of building something fragile and beautiful and watching it become the thing you could not survive losing. I should go, she murmured, rising. She reached for her jacket. But this time, she did not make it to the door. Ellis stood, and his hand closed gently around her wrist. "Do not go," he whispered. "Not tonight." She searched his eyes for hesitation. There was nothing but truth. "I have spent my whole life controlling everything, and you make me feel like none of that works anymore." "Good," he said, stepping closer. "Because I do not want the version of you that works. I want the one that stays." She lifted her hand and placed it against his cheek. His eyes closed, and the breath he released was shaky. "I am choosing to stay," she whispered. "Not because it is safe. Because it is you." He turned his head and pressed his lips to her palm. A kiss so quiet, it felt like a vow. He leaned in. She did not pull away. Their foreheads touched first like two stars surrendering to the same orbit. And then softly, inevitably, the last wall fell. In the other room, June slept soundly, dreaming of kingdoms and book dragons. The first thing Marlowe noticed was the warmth. She opened her eyes to golden light pouring through linen curtains. Ellis lay beside her, facing her. His eyes were open. "Hi," he said softly. "Hi," she whispered. Neither moved. She reached out and traced her fingertips down his forearm. He did not flinch. "You are staring," she murmured. "I am memorizing this. You here in my bed in my morning, looking at me like you are not going to run." She felt no urge to move. "I am not running," she said. He smiled, slow, full, real. The kind of smile that rearranges everything. Then small footsteps. The bedroom door creaked open. June stood in the frame, curls flattened, one sock missing. She blinked at the scene. Her father lying in bed and Marlowe beside him. Then her face broke into the widest, most luminous smile. "I knew it," she said. "I told Daddy you were special." Marlowe opened her arms. June climbed onto the bed, burrowing between them. "You are warm," June murmured. "So are you," Marlowe whispered. Ellis reached over and rested his hand on Marlowe's arm. "Thank you. Stay. You belong here." The three of them lay there as the morning deepened. And Marlowe, for the first time in as long as she could remember, felt no need to plan the next 5 steps. She was simply here. And she did not feel afraid of what came next. She felt ready. 6 months later, the headlines read like a scandal. "Reed steps down from Blackwood Legal." Industry stunned. No one guessed the truth. The truth was too quiet for that world. Marlowe sat on the floor of an empty office in Wicker Park, her back against a freshly painted wall. She wore faded jeans, a soft gray sweater, and white sneakers. No blazer, no heels, no armor. Ellis sat beside her close enough that their shoulders touched. A blueprint layout was spread across his lap. "If we move the consultation room here, we get natural light for client meetings." Marlowe leaned over, studying the layout. "And what about the back corner?" "A quiet room. Somewhere people can go when the noise gets too much." He glanced at her. "You would have wanted that at Blackwood." She smiled, the real one. "You are designing the office around my worst habits. I am designing it around your needs." There is a difference. He was her husband now. They had married quietly 2 months ago in Mira's backyard, surrounded by fairy lights and old books and June scattering flower petals. Now they were building something new. Reed and Vance, a boutique consulting firm. Something that actually reflected who they were. Daddy, I finished. June came running, holding up a drawing. 3 stick figures in front of a building with a bright yellow door. Above them, in wobbly handwriting, our place. Marlowe's throat tightened. I love the yellow door. It is so people feel happy before they even come inside, June explained. Ellis kissed the top of his daughter's head. I think we should paint the real door yellow. Really? June squealed and ran toward the entrance. Her laughter bounced off the bare walls and filled the space with life. Marlowe watched her, then turned to Ellis. He was already looking at her the way he always did. Are you scared? He asked softly. A little, she admitted. But not the way I used to be. I used to be scared of losing control. Now I am just scared of wasting time. She paused. And I have already wasted enough. He took her hand and pressed his lips to her knuckles. Then let us not waste any more. The sunlight stretched across the empty floor like a golden road. June was spinning near the window, humming a melody only she could hear. Marlowe leaned her head against Ellis's shoulder and closed her eyes. Success was never about control. It was about having someone to share the path with. And the path at last was hers to choose. She spent years building walls so tall, she forgot what the sky looked like. But love did not knock. It slipped in through a child's laughter and a man's quiet patience. Marlowe did not lose control. She found something better. The courage to let someone in. Sometimes, the life you never planned becomes the only one worth living. But tell me, are you brave enough to let go of the life you have been controlling to finally start the one you deserve? If this story touched your heart, subscribe to the channel, leave your like, and become a member for early access to upcoming stories. Your gesture makes all the difference and helps us keep bringing narratives that move you.